AM 570 and 910 with you wherever you go. Using our mobile app, letstalkfaith.com, Alexa, TuneIn, iHeart, and at radio.com.
Church is where you find the teaching and fellowship to grow in Christ. But between Sundays, how do you keep your spiritual gas tank filled? You can always find strength between Sundays here on Faith Talk AM 570 and AM 910. But you can also find encouragement on our Facebook page, WTBN AM 570 and 910. Streaming at letstalkfaith.com.
Ask an Attorney is sponsored by the law offices of Joe Pippen. Learn more at attypip.com.
Ask an attorney about Florida law. Ask an attorney, just give him a call.
This is Ask an Attorney, all about Florida law with Attorney Joe Pippen. If you have a legal question, call Joe right now. In Tampa, call 813-287-5700. Anywhere else, toll free at 877-943-9673. That's 877-943-9673. The law office is open. And now your host, Joe Pippen.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to Ask an Attorney, all about Florida law. I'm Attorney Joe Pippen, practicing attorney. Hey, you're listening on stations all over Florida. You're listening, our home flagship station is 570, 910, 860, 930. If you have a legal question, usually that's the format of the show. Today we're going to do something slightly different. So today is my mother's funeral. And I tried to talk about this a couple of weeks ago and waited till the last minute to mention, and still got choked up with 60 seconds to talk about it. Today we're going to talk about people that Christmas is a glorious time of year. It's a happy time of year. Everyone looks forward to Christmas. There are also many people who have thoughts and look back about the celebration of life of someone they've lost. So I want to talk about that a little bit early part of the show. I want to talk about my mother early part of the show. I want to share the microphone with you to be able to share, celebrate a life that you remember. So I want to give you the microphone today as well as me. And if you would like to do that, if you would like to call in and celebrate someone's life and how maybe you deal with it and how you still continue to celebrate that life, you can call the show as well today. I will take legal questions today, but I want to share the microphone during this. This will be a special program. If you listen to the show, 95% of the time I come in and just answer legal questions. At Easter time, I do my Trial of Jesus program, talking about the legal aspects of that. I did a Thanksgiving show about being thankful in all things. I do a special show with pastors. Did a 4th of July show, Christian Nation, Christian Founding Fathers, kind of a question mark show talking about that topic. Today we're going to do a celebration of life show, and I want to start that with talking about my mom a little bit. Well, my mom's name was Selma. She lived 96 years. She had her birthday June the 1st, and she was 96. She was under hospice care the last 9 days. That's probably the last 5 days. She was bedridden and pretty much out of it with morphine, just to keep her peaceful and calm. She had a great life. She was a great mother, a great friend, a great husband. She was just a class act, and we're very much going to miss her. She taught me a lot of things in life. My dad, as in most families, the mother was the one that I would spend the most time with. My dad was busy working on a great career in his life. She was a total support of him. My dad became a president of a fairly large insurance company, and she was the first wife, and had major hand in all the social functions, yearly conventions, just being a great support for him. She did a great job. She was a great mother. She taught me how to love, how to be kind, how to be bold, to have courage. I appreciate all of those things. I remember back when I say she taught me courage and how to be bold. The story goes that when I was 6 years old, there are two bully stories this first one, I was 6 years old. I don't really remember too much about that. But there was a bully that kept bullying me, and my mother found out about it. And she told me, the next time he picks on you, punch him, hit him. You know, he'll learn a lesson. Almost like knock him out. Just get rid of him. Just get in a fight with him. So my mother encouraged me to do that. So the next time the 6-year-old bullied me, I hit him. I gave him a good punch, just like my mother told me to. And guess what? The bully never bothered me again. Now, I don't remember too much about that story, but I do remember a story just a couple of years later where there was another bully. His name was Tommy, and he lived down the street. And he was bigger than me, stronger than me, and used to just like bully everybody. My mother told me, you don't let him do that to you. If he gets in a fight with you, you fight back and you hit hard. So sure enough, within a few weeks, Tommy was going to bully me again. So I followed my mother's advice and got into a fight with the bully, Tommy. But Tommy beat me up pretty bad, so that was maybe not the best advice. So I didn't win that battle, but after I stood up to Tommy and did get in a few good punches, Tommy never bothered me again. So my mother taught me to be bold and courageous and stand up for myself. Standing up for myself probably be the most important part of that. My mother forced me to take swimming lessons. And I think I probably cried and didn't want to go take swimming lessons for some reason. But swimming lessons turned out to, for me later on in life, becoming a lifeguard. I got my water safeties and instructor license, and I taught swimming lessons. I became the head lifeguard of a major lake and started my own business pretty much by teaching swimming lessons at the lake as part of my duties. I never will forget that the owner of the lake, I went to the owner of the lake and said, look, take me off the clock and I'm going to put up signs around the lake and I'm going to teach beginners swimming lessons at 9 o'clock, intermediate at 10, advanced swimming at 11. Just take me off the clock. I'm going to charge $15. It'll be 3 weeks worth of classes, and I think you'll benefit, Mr. Owner of the Lake, because more people will come to the lake. Well, that went tremendously successful, and at the end of the 3 weeks, the owner of the lake said, I want to put you back on the clock, and we're going to share that money from the swimming lessons. So you know what lesson I learned? It's a valuable lesson I learned from that whole experience, and all because my mother made me take swimming lessons. You gotta own the lake. You gotta own the lake. Because now the owner wanted to dip into my privates, which he had a right to do, of course, and which he did. My mother was just a great inspiration in my life. I'm going to miss her very much. I have good friends, Tom and Robin Pant, sent me this poem called My First Christmas in Heaven. So I'd like to read that to you. But also, if you'd like to celebrate someone's life today, I'm going to take legal questions. I'm going to give the phone number in a few minutes. But if you want to take this number and call in and share your memory and your celebration of life of someone you've lost during this holiday, I'd love to share the microphone with you and hear your story and share that with you. So here's the poem, My First Christmas in Heaven. And yes, I know my mom's in heaven. And I really am thankful that you're listening. I'm when someone dies and they're a Christian and in heaven, it gives you the peace of mind that you'll get to see them again. You'll be with them. So my hope is that if you're listening to this or maybe watching this, this will maybe plant a little seed in what you where you would like to go when you die, and whether or not you're going to be able to join other family members as well. So I see the countless Christmas trees around the world below, with tiny lights like heaven stars reflecting on the snow. The sight is so spectacular, please wipe away the tear, for I'm spending Christmas with Jesus Christ this year. I hear the many Christmas songs that people hold so dear, but the sounds of music can't compare with the Christmas choir up here. I have no words to tell you the joy their voices bring, for it is beyond description to hear the angels sing. I know how much you miss me. I see the pain inside your heart. I am not so far away. We really aren't apart. So happy for me, my dear ones. You know I hold you dear, and I'm glad I'm spending Christmas with Jesus Christ this year. I sent each of you a special gift from my heavenly home above. I send you each a memory of my unfailing love. After all love is a gift more precious than pure gold, is always more important in the stories that Jesus told. Please love and keep each other, as my Father said to do. I can't count the blessings or love he has for each of you. So have a Merry Christmas and wipe away that tear. Remember, I'm spending Christmas with Jesus Christ this year. All right, so I'm Attorney Joe Pippen. You're listening to Ask an Attorney all about Florida law. If you'd like to call the show with a special celebration of a life memory that you have, please do that. I told my producer if I get those calls, take those and mark those, and I want to take those first. It'll be okay to me today if we just did that today. I told him to mark the questions either legal, so I'll be able to identify those and mark them celebration of life. And I'm going to take those first, just to let you know. So you have a toll-free number, 877-943-9673. That's 877-943-9673. So one more poem I want to read, and then I'll take a call here. And our first caller here is a legal question. No, it's Velma. My mother's name was Selma, so... but we'll get to her in just a second. My Mother Kept a Garden is the name of this poem. So my mother loved to garden. She loved to work in the yard. She had the golden touch as far as things go out there and planting them in the yard and so forth. So this poem is called My Mother Kept a Garden. My mother kept a garden, a garden of the heart. She planted all good things that gave my life its start. She turned me to sunshine, encouraged me to dream, fostering and nurturing the seeds of self-esteem. And when the winds and rain came, she protected me enough, but not too much because she knew I need to stand up strong and be tough. Her constant good example always taught me right from wrong, markers for my pathway that will last a lifetime long. I am my mother's garden. I am her legacy. And I hope today she feels the love reflected back from me. All right, we're going to go to Charles from Port Richey.
Hello, Mr. Pippen.
Hey, Charles, how are you?
Good. My mother, she also passed away in May. And when you were talking, it sounded just like it was my mother. She was the same way. And when I used to rib her, she used to tell me, someday you're going to miss me. And she was right, because I do miss her. And it's just one of those things, you know? I'm sorry I'm breaking up, but it's just the way it is.
Well, Charles, thanks so much for calling. You know, I tried to talk about my mom. She died on December 3rd, and I was doing my show December 5th. And I debated whether to bring it all up, so I did my whole show with 60 seconds left. I decided, well, now I only got 60 seconds. I can do this. But I couldn't. I just choked up right there in my last minute.
Well, Well, every time I think about her, I choke up. I miss her, you know. But life goes on, and like you say, at Christmas time, we'll be thinking about her in heaven with Jesus Christ. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Pippen.
All right,
I appreciate it.
Thanks for calling.
All right. Okay, bye.
All right, you're listening to Ask an Attorney, all about Florida law. If you'd like to do a celebration of life moment here today on today's show, hey, please call. I'd love to give you the opportunity to do that. Actually, I think it feels better to talk about it. You know, if you keep everything locked up inside of you, it's just tough. And I think it makes it worse for you. If you can talk about it a little bit, I think you'll feel better. So if I can make you feel better today, that would be awesome. 877-943-9673. All right, let's go to Velma in Winter Haven. Hey, Velma.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have a question for you to start with. I know how you feel because I lost both my parents back at 66 within 6 months of each other.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
I've lost between my husband passed on 2 days after Christmas, and then I've lost all 4 of my sons.
Oh, wow. I'm so sorry.
Within less than 7 years. One of them was 2 days after Christmas. And then this last one was this past May.
Mm-hmm.
But I've lost people on Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Wow.
And I know how it feels.
Well, yeah, I'm so sorry. I mean,
praise the Lord, I know for a fact that everybody is in heaven.
Yep. Well, hey, so you have something to look forward to.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and God has really seen me through a lot of things. And he's been so good to me, I don't have the words.
Yeah. Well,
thank you.
I'm so thankful you can share that. Are you listening to 90.3 FM this morning? Or
yes, I am.
Are you? Well, great.
But my question, if anybody is working, say like under the table for cash money, and that cash money is never recorded, there is no way that they can file it on taxes, is there?
Well, if they're earning income and they're receiving cash, it should be reported.
That's what I'm saying, though.
If the IRS would do an audit and you were to be put in this is unlikely, by the way, because I've never really heard of this happening, but let's say the IRS did an audit and they tried to prove that you earned income and you are in a deposition, you're not going to lie.
Right.
So you could possibly find out, and the person who gave you the income should actually, they would be in probably more trouble than you, because they're supposed.
Okay.
So they're supposed to report that.
Right. Okay. Well, the problem that I'm having is before I finally got my coworker that was with my last son. Before I got them started on the payroll through Consumer Direct, we had to pay them out of pocket, and now they're wanting some proof of income so they can file it on taxes.
Yeah, they want the deduction.
Right, but there's no way they could do that, is there?
They could still report it. They could still report the income and maybe do a amended tax return. It's possible, but they would have to give you the proper paperwork showing that you received the income. And I don't think they can. They have to date when they did that.
Okay, well, they were the ones that was receiving the income. My daughter and I had to pay them out of pocket.
Oh, I see.
Until we got them on payroll.
Yeah, my best advice to you would be to work with your CPA and getting things amended.
Okay, well, see, I really don't have one, and my daughter is. She doesn't have a
Velma, I
business.
could recommend one for you there in the Polk County area.
Okay.
Just get with me, and I'd be glad to recommend the CPA for you.
Okay.
All right? All right, but I appreciate you calling.
Well, I appreciate talking to you.
All right. Let's go to. If you'd like to call the show today, we're doing a couple of things today. We're doing a celebration of life show. If you want to call in and celebrate someone's life that's passed away that won't be with you this Christmas, hey, give us a call and just give you an open microphone to talk about it a little bit and share that with us. If you have a legal question, we can do that as well. Let's go to James in Jacksonville.
Hello, Mr. Pippen.
Hey, James.
I listen to your show all the time.
Thank you.
I've learned a lot from you, and I just want to celebrate my mom's life. She's been gone 3 years. I'm from Pennsylvania originally, and that's where she passed away. My mom's name was Mary, and she was such an inspiration to me, and I know she's with God. She was a strong believer in God and Jesus Christ. So I'm a preacher, talk show host, and I'm down here in Jacksonville. Been on the air since 1999, and some of my shows in Los Angeles, she called in to some of my live shows on public access cable TV, and she came out and visited my wife and I like 4 times via Greyhound bus out to Los Angeles all the way from Pennsylvania. And I miss my mom. I know she's in a better place. The last 2 years of her life, she came down with dementia and Alzheimer's, and then God took her. She had a stroke before she died, like a week before she died 3 years ago. And then she passed like a week later after the stroke. And then my family, it happened, her death occurred in November of, it's 2020 now, so it was like 2017, I believe, November of, and then in the springtime, my family invited me up from, living here in Florida up to Pennsylvania, and I took a Amtrak train up there, and my whole family, and I got a big family, 5 sisters and a brother, and all their children, like 18, I'm an uncle, like 18 times over, and a great uncle 3 times over. Anyway, in front of my whole family, they know I'm a preacher, and that I have a show, and they said to say a few words, and the whole time, I was tears in my eyes. My mom who put up with me. Like when I was 16, I disappointed my parents. I ran away from home from Pennsylvania, took an Amtrak train all the way down to Miami, Florida, and I just ran away because my parents always argued, and but I still loved them. I didn't want them to argue and and things like that, and so that's why I ran away from home. And my parents, they put up a lot with me, and by the grace of God, I've been clean and sober 35 years. I'm 63 years old, but before that, I was heavily into drugs. I overdosed twice, almost died twice. God preserved me. And God knew that I was going to trust Him, and I trusted Him in November of '86 in the Philadelphia area where I'm from originally. And my whole life changed drastically, dramatically, and to God be the glory. And but anyway,
James, I really appreciate
a better place. And,
well, you get to
yes, sir.
You get to join up with her
I
one
have
day.
a network, CNN Gregory News Network. I'm James Gregory, and been on the air since 1999.
Do you have a church?
Radio here.
Yeah.
In Jacksonville, 100.3 FM.
Yeah.
Often on radio shows and
great.
shows.
Hey, James, I'd like to meet you sometime. So maybe when I'm in Jacksonville, I do my show at 8 o'clock on Saturday mornings there in that same studio. So maybe we can say hello or have coffee after one of those shows sometime.
Yes, sir. And honest to God, I thought about going to law school in the past, but I have to get a bachelor's degree first in order to go to law school.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that believe, since I still have life, by the grace of God, God is merciful. I went through a harsh divorce with my wife.
Hey, James, I appreciate. Let me go to my next caller, James. But I really appreciate you calling, and thank you so much, and God bless, and thanks so much for sharing.
Take care.
All right, you're listening to Ask an Attorney, all about Florida law. We're doing a special Celebration of Life show. I'm giving those calls priority, but if you have a legal question, please call in as well. Let my producer give you my cell number if you have a legal question as well. My cell number is 727-667-3967. Okay. All right, let's go to, and if you want to call the show, you have a toll-free number, 877-943-9673. That's 877-943-9673. Let's go to Peggy in Sun City Center.
Good morning, Joe, and we would just like to offer our sincere condolences. We've both been there. My husband's mother died more recently, 7 years ago, and I lost my mom over 16 years ago.
Well, let's celebrate her life a little bit. Tell us a little bit about her.
She was the strongest woman I know. She buried two of her children, one as an infant and one as an adult after the Korean War. She worked multiple jobs. I don't think the woman ever slept. This time of year, she would be up half the night and then up way before dawn making cookies and taking them to people who couldn't get out, shut-ins. We grew up in New York State, and there was lots of snow and ice. We didn't have a car, and I remember one time a friend of hers picked her up and was taking her to visit another friend. Mom had a plate of cookies in her hand, and she walked down our steps and down the little slope to her friend's car, and before she got to the car, she slipped, and she slid halfway under the car, holding the plate of cookies up and never dropped the cookies at all. She got up and brushed herself off and got in the car, and they went on. But this was Mom. She just picked herself up and brushed herself off and kept on trucking.
Yep.
Mom was...
well, that's Mom, great to have memories like that. And
yeah.
So.
She was selfless. I had a horse when I was a teenager, and Mom was afraid of horses, but she grew to love Tony and helped me get him ready for horse shows, and Tony would come up to the back door. He loved my mom's homemade cookies.
Yep.
I never saw a horse that would eat a cookie out the back door like my mother's were. It was really funny.
Well, Peggy, I appreciate you calling. I'm glad you...
And I just want to tell you that, we get attached to our little fur people, too. And we just lost our little kitten that we had for 13 and a half years.
Oh.
And that tears at your heart also. But
well, my mom loved dogs. So when she lost her dog at, I think, around age 91... she wanted another dog. My dad really didn't want another dog. But I promised her, I said, I'll buy you a dog. And then if something happens to you along the way, then, because my wife kind of wanted a dog, and I knew my mom wanted a dog. So I said, well, I think I'll do this. I'll volunteer to buy my mom a dog. And then when the dog passes on, and we'll take care of the dog some, I'm sure, in the interim. And when the dog passes on, then we'll take the dog. So the dog's name is Pippa. And our last name is Pippen, so the dog's name is Pippa. So so my dad, I said, Mom, I'm going to buy you a dog, but Dad's got to approve this. Because I don't want to, buy you a dog, make you all happy, and then have Dad mad at me. So y'all have to agree that this is the plan. Dad still didn't want a dog right away. So I guess she beat on him for about a year. And then he finally caved, and we bought Pippa. So now Mom passed away. So now my wife and I have Pippa to take care of, and it's we used to have dogs a long time ago, but it's been a long time. But Pippa's a great addition to the family. She's a loving, caring, just wonderful little dog. So
that's great. She'll be your consolation in these days.
The dog likes my wife. I think she was my mom's shadow. Now she's my wife's shadow. So so I'm like, I play second fiddle. Now I've got two females in the family to deal with. All right, but Peggy, thanks so much for sharing.
Thank you.
All right.
And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
Bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you, Joe.
You're listening to Ask an Attorney, all about Florida law. Hey, special show today, Celebration of Life show. If you have someone you'd like to celebrate, just briefly in a few minutes on the radio, hey, don't be shy, call. Maybe it's you never called a radio show before. It's just like talking to me on the phone, really. It's not that big of a deal. And your story may inspire someone else, really. So why not voice it, feel a little bit better about talking about it, and maybe inspire someone else to maybe lead them to Christ. Who knows? Love to share the microphone with you. 877-943 9673. Phone lines are open at 877-943-9673. I was talking to one of the callers mentioned that they disappointed their parents. I think it was James there a little bit. I think of a story. My parents, I have a brother. I have a special needs brother. His name is Bruce, and he's been special needs since birth. It's very hard, I think, for a marriage to stay together when there's a special needs. I mean, I'm an estate planning attorney. Every month, several people come in with special needs children. You have to do special needs planning with them. Most of the time, I'd say those parents have divorced along the way. It's just very hard, I think, to have a special needs child in a family and then not have the stress of that has an effect on the marriage, and a lot of marriages don't last, to be honest with you. I see this all the time in my practice. Well, my parents are married 76 years. They had a special needs child. I think for the most part, I was a very sensitive child that never wanted to cause them problems because they had, enough issues going on with my brother. And I never saw me without my brother. I used to put my brother up on my bicycle, front part of that, and riding around the neighborhood, play with him in the yard. We had a fairly big yard, and so I really probably was a non-problem child most of my life. I didn't want to cause them additional stress and so forth, and so I took the high road and hardly ever got in trouble. There was one time, though, I got in a little bit of trouble when I was 18, just to share a story with you. So I was the president of a group called High Y. It was a Christian group within the high school. And around one Thanksgiving, we had a project of going around collecting food for needy people. So my best friend and I was the president of the High Y, and my best friend and I went out, who lived in the neighborhood, and we were collecting food. Well, we collected a lot of food very, very quickly. And so we had extra time to spend, so we was doing this and that, and I was driving then, of course. So on the way home, I guess I was driving a little too fast, so I broke a few traffic laws along the way, maybe 3 or 4 different traffic laws, passing on a yellow line, driving too fast, and it was a whole list of things I was probably doing wrong. So a policeman stopped me and gave me a ticket said he wanted to follow me home so he could explain to my parents what all these traffic violations I had done. He wanted to go home and explain to my parents. I said, oh my gosh, now I get a ticket now. He's going to follow me home and talk to my parents. So he did. The policeman did that. And unfortunately for me as well, my parents had company that night. So I hear him at the front door of the police officer. So he'd come in, and then we sat in the living room. The police officer's telling my dad all the things I did on my little traffic violations. So anyway, I go to court. My dad knows the judge. So my dad stands up beside me when the judge is, and my dad knows the judge in this case, and my dad tells the judge, hey, why don't you just give his license to me? I promise you I'm going to be much harder on him than you would be. So the judge didn't take my license away. He gave it to my dad, and my dad kept his word. He was a lot harder on me than the judge would have been. Hey, let's go to Cheryl in Sarasota.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, Cheryl.
It's a pleasure to hear you, and I have many family members who have gone on, and it's always very difficult. I don't think it gets any easier ever, no matter how much time has gone, whether it's grandparents, parents, or children. And age doesn't seem to really matter. As far as the age of the individual, it's the fact that they are not here, that you can't hold them in your hands and in your arms and talk with them anymore. It's not there. But this year I decided to send out a couple of tea bags to some friends of mine, because I used to prepare my mother tea in the morning. She was a late riser, and I would do that for her. And so I did that, and I sent out an ink pen. And I thought our relationship was not good, unfortunately, but I thought it was a good way to remember her. And it was, an affable way to say that I loved her, even though that relationship had been severed. And I don't hold that against her. I think there's some people who experience a lot of that in their lives, where they are disenchanted from family members and friends. And it's not necessarily anything that they do in their life or they don't do. It's just the way somehow it works out. And I think that perhaps God does that for a reason, to either see if you will become hardened of heart, or if your heart will remain open and your spirit, continues to seek God and His redemption and what God can do for you. So that's what I wanted to say. And
Cheryl, thank you so much.
I hope you have yourself a good weekend.
I'm so thankful you called. I really am. So thank you so much.
You take care, okay?
Thank you.
And
Bye-bye.
I hope you continue to do what you do. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. So I want to talk about Mom just a little bit more. So she was in home. My dad honored her request to stay in her apartment. And he honored that, even though I'm sure that was very, very tough. And for the last 5 days, my mom, hospice came in, they brought in a hospital bed, put it in there, and I would say my mom was not responsive too much in those last 5 days. So on December 3rd, I worked during the day, and almost every day for maybe 8 days, the hospice would say it could be any time now. My mother was very, very tough, independent person, and she was strong. She lasted a lot longer, even under those conditions, than anyone would have thought. So on the last day, December 3rd, I showed up around, 4:45. Hospice nurse told me that it was fairly imminent. Went over and held my mom's hand for about a half an hour. And then around 5:35, I think, she passed away that night. So the hospice people do everything at this stage in life. So they they come pick Mom up and, take her to the funeral home and everything. But it took them 3 hours that night to get there. So from 5:35 to about 8:35 or so, we were all there, and I went over and kissed my mom on her forehead and, told her goodbye. She had trouble breathing. She was gasping for air right before she died for a pretty long time. But anyway, the gentleman came to pick her up and put her on the gurney and everything, and the gurney was kind of outside the door just a little bit. And the gentleman looked at my mom and said, "Oh, she's got a smile on her face." Now, I never saw the smile when I was there that night. At that stage, he had picked her up and, put the sheet on her and got her all secure on the gurney. And he saw a smile. Now, my dad and I were standing at the end, not being able to really see Mom's face at that point. But I can tell you that smile meant a lot to me. Whether it was actually there or not, I'll take the guy. The guy saw a smile. And that smile meant to me that my mom knew she was at the end of her journey. And she had already departed on her journey. And she was happy now after going through much suffering. Let's go to Vernon in Sun City Center.
Hello, Joe.
Hey, Vernon.
No, just Vern. You know me.
Okay. I know you, yes. They typed Vernon on the screen, though. But Vern,
I
know who
tried
Vern.
to get it.
But Vern is on our big part of our 96.3 FM station in Sun City Center. So, Vern, thanks so much for calling.
And we send our condolences. But I wanted to share a story with you because on our program, every chance I get, which is my mama's birthday and Thanksgiving, which was right next to each other, and then for Christmas, I hit everybody with a line, and it comes. Let me just give you the story. This was a story that was from quite a while ago, and it says here, a man who handles the advertising account for South Central Bell was recalling when Bear Bryant was hired to do commercials for his account. What he was supposed to say at the end of the commercial was, "Call your mama," as only he could say it. But we were shooting, and he ad-libbed the line. He said, "Call your mama." And then he added, "I wish I could call mine." We would have never asked him to do something like that, but it worked out perfectly. One of the Bell executives carried the story further. Soon after the commercial began running, he said, "My secretary came in there and said there was a customer on the line that just had to talk to me." So I do that every Thanksgiving. It's close to her birthday, every Christmas. And so I want to do it for your people now. Call your mama. And I sure do wish I could call mine.
All right, Vern, thank you so much for calling. Look forward to seeing you again.
Oh, yeah, we'll cross paths. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
All right, if you'd like to call, we have in the remaining moments, call our toll-free number here if you'd like to do a celebration of life moment here with me, 877-943-9673. Now, my wife, I'm going to go to Johnny here in Land of Lakes. My wife has one of these little devices you look into. You hold it in front of your eye. It's 2 or 3 inches long and has a picture inside of it. She celebrates her moment with her parents. Her parents are both deceased. By every Christmas, she goes to find this forget what you call it. But every Christmas she goes to get that and spends time looking through that and praying, thankful her parents are both strong Christian people, and she'll be with them one day. And that's how she remembers her parents. Of course, we have pictures of all of our family throughout the house and everything, and she sees those pictures, of course. But this is a special way that she does it, looking through this little device here. All right, let's go to Johnny, Land of Lakes. Hey, Johnny. Is Johnny there? He's gone.
Hello.
Hey, Johnny.
Hi, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, and you?
Going okay. Condolences to you and your family, and condolences to everyone who called in. And yes, I'm so grateful you're doing the celebration of life. I won't be long before you. I just want to share this to encourage you and everyone else who has called and who have had a loved one transition. I'm going to say it that way.
Well, transition is a great word.
Yes.
Actually. Mm-hmm.
So here's the encouraging piece. Those who believe, remember what our Savior said at Lazarus' tomb. He said two things. Those who have believed in him and already passed, yet shall they live. And those who believe in him and are alive shall never die. And then what he said to Nicodemus. Now, here's the kicker. There was a man on the cross with him. There was a promise made to that man. Today you shall be with me in paradise. Now, we got to know this. The man was on the cross. So while they see him on the cross at the same time with the Savior, people could wonder, well, how could he be with him in two places at one time? Because the promise is he came to do what he did for all of us. So he died for all of our sins. We're going to see our loved ones again. They are not lost, as some use the word lost, because when you know where they are not lost.
Exactly.
Because right. He is not lost because he's our Savior and he is alive. They are not lost and they are alive with him. They're just not here in this realm. They're in the next. Our turn is coming, and we too will transition out of here and be with him and them forever. So be encouraged to know that we're only passing through. We're only here temporary. We don't know the day we came in here. We didn't know when we was coming in here. No, but we don't know the day we're leaving. But we do know whilst we're here with the opportunity to believe. So, Joe, you're going to see your loved one again.
Well, I know. I definitely know that. Looking forward to it.
Yes, and everyone who called in, you're going to see your loved one again. We have to get through this process in order to get there.
Yep.
So don't try to rush out of here because he still wants to use you for the time he has you here. And I just want to say that be blessed. Enjoy these holidays. Everybody celebrate this life and the next to come, because that's where we're going to be at, and it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be beautiful forevermore. Just know that.
Thank you so much for calling. I really enjoyed your call, and you believe exactly like I do, so thank you so much.
You're welcome, and have a blessed day, my brother.
You too. Let's go to Ann in Sun City Center.
Oh.
And we have about a minute, so.
Okay, I can wrap it up real quickly. My brother passed away in November, and he lived in California, all the families in this area, and so we weren't able to go there. He was a writer. He wrote for shows like Chips, Knight Rider, Barnaby Jones, all those shows back in the 60s, 70s, 80s. And it's so exciting that he left us that legacy. We can go on YouTube and we can pull up a show and see his name, and it's like he's still talking to us somehow. So I just wanted to share that kind of upbeat message that while we lost him in person, our loved ones leave some kind of message some way, so you always feel they're with you.
Ann, thank you so much for calling.
Thank you.
All right, just for information, we broadcasted this today live on video as well. We have Facebook Live on. You could go to my personal page, Joseph Pippen, the Law Office of Joseph Pippen page. Also on WeBeam TV, carries this program every other week. They come in video the program as part of their network of shows. And you can also go there. We will post this show on our own YouTube channel. So if you'd like to, maybe you called in, maybe you'd like to hear yourself again, or maybe you'd like to tell the rest of your family about it. There's ways to access the show today where you can hear it. If you have an iPhone, we have an Ask an Attorney app. Just Ask an Attorney. You'll find it with a lot of our shows listed there, and this one will be on within probably an hour or so. Well, thank you so much for listening today. I know our show was a little bit unusual today, but hey, I do an unusual show once in a while, usually with a pastor or some Christian theme that goes with it, trial of Jesus, and so forth like that, being thankful in all things. So really enjoyed you listening. I enjoyed doing this show today. I got through it a lot better, a lot easier than I thought I would. Thank you so much for listening. And I'll be back next week to answer your legal questions on Ask an Attorney, all about Florida law. Hey, you have a very, very Merry Christmas. And we'll be back next week the same time. So long.